Bill Dieruf, welcome. Thank you so much. And we know from J-Town because I see it behind you. How are you doing?
Well, I am a working mayor, so in order to do interviews, I have to answer questions as we go. So
Absolutely.
J-Town's doing fantastic. I mean, we had an arts meeting the other day, and we brought the arts to J-Town because we have so much of it downtown Louisville, and we want to make people realize, whether it's a museum or Teddy or whatever, out in the rest of the county, how much it means to us by doing snippets out here. So we're starting an arts. It's going to be an event out here where it's going to be arts in the park with a culture fest.
Love that.
And the Culture Fest is that the reason why I want to do that is because we want to let people know what all the different cultures are in our community. And once they get to know other cultures, it's kind of like when you sit down and eat with somebody, you get to know them. So the fact that we get to know the different cultures, so we're having different dance groups, different music, different food, different clothes mixed in with the art festival. And it's just going to be an event where the city gets to see what is happening all around the city and who is in our city.
Well, and that's one thing. So you've been mayor for how long? I want to talk a little bit about your background. Businessman, also Jeffersontown mayor in your third term?
This is my third term. I'm heading into my 12th year and I'm termed. Constitutionally, I can't represent J-Town anymore. So I realized Louisville needs some help. When I came to J-Town, it had a pride problem. It had a financial problem. And we wanted to launch J-Town to be the best city, the hallmark city in our state. And we have done that. So the next move is to bring Louisville to where you say, I'm proud of being a part of Louisville. And I want to tell my friends to come to Louisville, whether it's a business or somebody just moving here.
Let's talk about the fact, and I also want to say a hardware business as well that you were in and your family and that kind of thing. So businessman, and again, mayor of J-Town. How many people in J-Town?
J-Town is around 30,000 at nighttime and around 68,000 during the day. So we are the sixth largest city during the daytime with 37,000 employees and 1,800 businesses. So our business park is the largest business park in the state. So when you say, how do we do business attraction? We've been doing this all along and we're 98.4% full. So we didn't wait till after the pandemic to decide what to do. We started 2 years ago on bringing businesses here. And actually what we did is we went after times past in economic development. You always went after the boss. You wanted to move the boss, the corporate headquarters here because the boss wanted to come here. We did it a little different. We went after the employee. We went after the promotion of bring your job to us because people were working from home. So if they were in New York City, we did a digital geofence over top of them and just showed them J-Town, 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 so they could move from New York to J-Town. And at that time, I was also the president of the Kentucky League of Cities. So I represented all the 416 cities across the state. So as I traveled during the pandemic, I told all the cities, no matter what size, let's move the business people to Kentucky and the business corporation will follow. And from that promotion, we've had all sorts of people move here and the corporations want to be a part of J-Town. So they realize what J-Town's about. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. So let's talk about that. Then taking what you said restoring pride, restoring different things. So now you want to bring that to Louisville, obviously a much larger city. Is that intimidating at all? Just going from that size to this size at all?
It's the same principle. When in fact, at J-Town, when we did it, we put a seal right in the middle of town so the people in our town would know where J-Town is and be proud of it. But it starts at the mayor. The mayor has to be absolutely love his city and has to be the leader of his city. And from what we did here, it started in my office, and then everybody that worked for the city moved forward to say we are proud of our city, all the way down to our public works guys who are the best of the best. And they even stripe the grass. That's how much they have pride in their city. And then the people in the city start being proud of what it would be. To move downtown Louisville, it isn't a hard thing to say that we want to be proud of Louisville. I mean, we have a great city. Now, what we need to do is quit saying we want to be like somebody else. We want to be like Cincinnati. We want to be like Nashville. We want to be like Indianapolis. I believe what we should do is be the leader, not the follower. We can take what they have and improve on it and make it ours, but we should be the leader where people want to be. I want to be like Louisville. And that's not hard to do because Louisville has a lot of great things to represent us. And it's not all, yes, we have the bourbonism, but Louisville is a great sized town for the future coming out of the pandemic. It's not too large, but it has everything you want. And you can either have downtown Louisville, you can have J-Town, you can have Shively, you can have Fairdale. We have everything you want if you're moving to Louisville. So why not be proud of a city that you live in? And let me go to one other thing that I realize we don't push enough of. We have a fantastic park system. And with the parklands and the Olmsted parks, this is what the next generation wants. They want the natural feeling to back up to a park, to be a part of it. And we do not promote that. So as we move forward to bring the pride, what we do is, well, it used to be Karen Williams down there. Now it's Cleo. We take the Tourism Bureau and they attract the people to come here for events. And then we have the second part of the Tourism Bureau would be to make the people want to live here and move here. So it's a twofold process.
Do you think, you keep saying restore pride, do you feel that Louisville doesn't have that right now?
I have, unfortunately, we have people moving out of Jefferson County because they're fearful of where we're moving to. And I do. I don't think we're very proud of our city right now because we're not known for the city of love, the city of that wants to be a place where you would recommend your business or your friends to move to. So that is a pride. If you're not willing to say, come here, this is the best place you want to live, that's a center of pride. Yes.
We're going to talk about that in just a second. But I also wanted to ask you a little bit about the question, was there something that resonated with you? Like, why now? Why Louisville mayor? What was it, your thought process that you said, I'm going to do it?
Well, the J-Town mayor, when you're at a point in life where you really enjoy what you're doing, why retire from it? Just move it to the next step. And I enjoy doing what we do in J-Town. And it's not because of I want my name on anything, because I've never put my name on anything we've done here. It's about what we leave behind for the next generation. So, I mean, it sounds like a political thing, but you may understand this. I do this for my grandkids. I want to make sure my grandkids want to stay here and want to be here. Honestly, makes it easier for me to go visit them down the street than it does across several states. But
and you're from here. I mean, we should say that as well.
Yeah. You mentioned that the one thing, to step back, you said about the hardware store. And then one thing we learned about the hardware store, whether you come in for a 5-cent nut or you come in for a $30,000 Bobcat, you have a problem and you want it solved then. You don't want me to do a study. You don't want me to do think about it. You want to solve the problem right there. And that's what we are trained to do. So that's what we take downtown, that we start moving forward day one. And that's as mayor of J-Town with 12 years experience as mayor. And the experience thing is both successful experience and an experience that has all the different silos that it takes to be a mayor, whether it's the arts program, whether it's public works, whether it's police, it brings all that downtown. And I would be the first mayor to run for mayor. If you think about it, there's never been a time where a successful mayor has run for the mayor of Louisville. And I think Louisville needs it right now. I think they need somebody that they can look back and say, he's already done it. He's not planning on doing it. So they know what's coming forward, because we need hope right now. Coming out of pandemic, we need hope big time.
And I'm going to talk to you about where you see hope a little bit later in this interview, but I want to talk about this mayoral race. There are a slew of Democratic candidates. You're coming in as the Republican in the race. We haven't had a Republican mayor, I think, since the 60s, if I did my homework correctly. What do you think about that? Do you see it as an asset? Do you see it as, where are you in the spectrum on that?
The one thing is, you may know that I went to Frankfurt, tried to change Louisville to a nonpartisan race. And that's because out of 416 cities in the state, 409 are nonpartisan. And a friend of mine, Bonnie Jung, who is the mayor of Douglas Hill, has always used the phrase, potholes have no parties. So that the mayor of Louisville is a nonpartisan representation of everybody in this community. So as a mayor of J-Town, I have been 12 years of nonpartisanship. So I understand what it means to be that. And I've worked with the Metro Council down there, both Democrats and Republicans all the way around. And I would be the mayor that also can go to Frankfurt and work, because there's no war on Louisville. As the Kentucky League of City president, as I said, I traveled the state and got to know all the representatives, all the mayor. So when I go to Frankfurt, I can get legislation done that's reasonable for both Louisville and for the rest of the state moving forward. So I see the Republican candidacy as, I am a nonpartisan mayor and I can represent everybody. Hence the saying, mayor for everybody. So,
Right. So you would prefer it like that. Let's talk about your track record in J-Town. And one thing that I know that seems to be the lead issue for most candidates in this. And for you too, I think no exception. Public safety, do you think that's the number one issue facing Louisville right now?
Public safety is absolutely the number one issue of the candidacy and the number one issue in Louisville, no matter what part of this county you're from. And unfortunately, certain parts of it are even more prevalent than others. I mean, we have mothers that are worried about their kids being shot at night, so they have them sleep in bathtubs, and that's not acceptable. So in the next step of where we take this is it has to be a mayor and a person that comes with the mayor that knows what and how to do policing moving forward. And as you know, Rachel, Rick Sanders will be coming with me. And there's nobody better than Rick to come downtown in some capacity and help where we move safety forward. Because when you look at, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you in some capacity might not, that hasn't been determined, correct? What capacity that would be in?
I will not as a candidacy say where a person's going to be going, but I say Rick is coming with me. And as you know, Rick was with DEA in command. One place was in Chicago. And right now, Louisville has just admitted not too long ago that they had gangs. And back in the days when Rick was in Chicago, they had gangs there and we had gangs here. I mean, to admit that we don't have gangs is ludicrous, but they had 78 gangs. And when Rick was there, he put the list of them on the wall of 30 of the top gang leaders and cartel leaders. And he partnered with all the different federal agencies, and they eliminated 22 of those leaders in 6 months. So he understands how to do this. And as we talk about, Rick and I will not be reading the how-to book on knee replacements as we walk into surgery. You know, we'll have 12 years of replacing knees to know what to do to make the city safe. So as we move forward, there's the tough side of policing where you go and get the cartel and the gang leaders and get rid of them. And then we've also done in J-Town the soft side, whether it's the Angel program for those that are addicted, or the victim's advocate for those that have been abused, or the social worker. How we mix the two is how we know day one what to do. We've done this. We've done intelligent-led policing. In fact, we've done community policing as we do right now. So it's not a learning curve, and it's not a thing that you're reading a book on how to moving in the door.
I know with some of those programs that you talked about, very forward thinking as far as like the Angel program and the social workers doing what some are all now talking about doing with social workers on some of those calls. When you talk about the police department there, I know you all have a lot of former LMPD officers who come to you. How do you get that back to where it is? Twofold. One of my questions is for the police officers to come back to Louisville, because it's no secret that LMPD has hemorrhaged quite a few officers. Many of them come to J-Town. What will you do to get them back? Do you think by virtue alone of Rick Sanders that's going to happen?
Well, twofold. I'd let you know when, to your point, they come to J-Town. We put out a call for 2 police officers. We had 100 that were interested in coming to J-Town. Louisville put out a call for, as you said, 300 officers, and they had 14 apply. So the difference is also several items. One was the pay, and I appreciate that they have stepped up and paid our officers what they should be getting, but that's not all of it. It's the leadership. They have to believe in the leaders that are coming down there, have their support when they go out and try to do policing. I can tell you the police officers that we have are the best of the best in J-Town. If we have someone that falls and they are not right for policing, we ask them to find another profession. That's not, but for the most part, the police officers have to realize that as Rick and I, as a team, come down, that we will move forward and bring the police back. And an example of that is not that the one thing is for a candidate to say, oh, I'm going to get the old police officers back. But Rick and I were out at the U of L game about 3 weeks ago. We had retired police officers coming up and say, if you are downtown, we're coming back. So that lets us know day one what it takes to come back. Second thing is I've already been talking to the FOP and the corrections and everything on how do we get people to come to work to fill the gap, and how do we bring the police officers back to make them want to come back besides the leadership, and how do we make sure the officers that are there are not felt that they lost something because they stayed and these other ones came. So you have to make it equal. You have to treat all your employees equally and not just treat one segment differently. So we've already been talking to the FOP on how to do that. I won't I won't put that out there because Greg is the mayor right now. And as a mayor right now, I will not step on another mayor's toes, but I can tell you, we're already talking on what we can do to bring these people back.
Now let's talk about the fact that the flip side of that, people who, after the Breonna Taylor case and the calls for social justice, who felt not transparency, not represented, not a lot of trust with police in some ways. How do you bridge that divide? Because that morale of police is as much morale of the people in trusting police. So you've got two issues going on there. How do you bridge that divide when you say you're a mayor for everyone to make sure that people don't feel left out of that circle?
Well, you do several things. One is the training that you give your police. And I would say either whether it's the training at the education as far as like, well, Louisville has their own training, but we changed the training to make it where the police officers know what to do when they're in different search situations. And that training has changed over the years so substantially because of what situation has occurred. But the other thing you do is you do community policing, and we can't do community policing until we get enough police officers back to respond. But when the community gets to know their own police officers, and you also have hire police officers that they say look like them, understand them, then all of a sudden they become part of the community. Now, the police officers have to be walking the beat and knowing everybody in their area. And then they understand by talking to the people in their area what the area wants and what officers should be. In the mayor's office, we constantly talking to people like Christopher 2X or the bishop or different groups that are a part of our community. And I mean all the community, whether it's the West End or East End or Dixie Highway or Newburgh, it has to be a communication of what we need for your area to make you feel safe. And Rachel, as I've traveled around on this campaign, meeting in different parts, everybody wants to be safe. They don't not want the police officers. They just want good police officers. And we have a lot of good police officers. 99.9% of our cops are great people. And I can tell you, once they get to know them and they get to know each other, as I said, the Culture Fest is something that gets people to know different cultures. Well, the same thing in policing. We need the community to know the police officers and learn what they are there for and how they can help.
One thing I wanted to ask you about as well as Metro Corrections, we have a real issue going on there with 6 people who were in Metro Corrections dying with just in the past 90 days. How do you fix that problem?
Well, there's several items there. One, I've met with their FOP, and they need more corrections officers. That's a big thing that can help to make sure somebody's there during the time frame. And we've got ideas what we can do to bring officers through there. Whether it's a better pension or lateral transfer. There's several things there, again, that we can do to attract more people. They have raised their salary up some, but the other part of it is we have to stop putting people in jail that we have that are drug addicted and have the problems of mental capacity that we can resolve other means. I mean, as I said, in J-Town, we have the Angel program. So rather than put the person in jail because they're addicted, because we're all possibly one surgery away from being addicted on drugs. We're not bad. It's not bad people. We have the Angel program where we have over 300 locations nationwide that we can get the people help for drugs. And that would take those people out of the jail. The people that have a mental health problem, we need to find a way to get those people help that's not sitting in jail. Because our jail is the biggest drug detox and the mental health facility in the state. So we need to take those out and start putting people in jail that are the bad people, the strong gang leaders and everything. And at that standpoint, we will not have the problem you're talking about, the overcrowding and everything. But it comes a point in time when there's all different things happening with a organization that it may be time to look at the management to see maybe it was fitting management for 10 years ago, but it's not the right fit for right now. So we have to look at how it's run, how it's disciplined, and it could be anywhere from the mayor's office down, what needs to be changed to make sure it's handled in the right way to where what I was just talking about, it's all handled. Now, the other thing is talking to the different judges that I know and that are running and everything else. We need to get them through the court system faster. We need to make sure they're not sitting in there waiting to be heard by a judge. And if somebody from another county happens to drop somebody off here, they come get them. So there's more facets than just say one thing. that we have to do. And that's the thing about a mayor. A mayor has a lot of different things he has to do, not just make one statement and move on. So the jail is going to take a lot of work to make sure it is a place to where we have the drug addicted out and get help. Unfortunately, right now in your jail, it's just a detox and release. We have to get them help. We have to get them into the Angel program. And as you said, we are forward thinking. We started the Angel program 7 years ago, and Louisville is still talking about doing something. So the fact that I am a mayor of action is something that will be very resounding in the future, because we won't stand still. We will move forward what needs to be done on day one.
We've got just a few more questions I wanted to ask you. So we've talked about public safety, metro corrections. Give me two more quick things that would be the top priorities when you got into office.
Well, the big thing, in fact, I met with GLI this morning, is we have to know how we're going to do economic development in the future in Louisville. For us to sustain the things we want, we have to have the businesses here and the employees here to move the city forward. So economic development, as I said, J-Town Commerce Park is the largest in the state. So we understand what business attraction means. And that anywhere from working with Frankfurt on incentives that would attract businesses here to putting incentives for both the businesses that are here and the incentives for attract business. But I'm one that the incentive is earned, not given. And so that when they bring an employee or bring a business here, it's a matter of them have to prove that they're here before we start giving them funds. But the other part of that is if I am a business, and as a business owner, I very much understand this, I'm not going to go talk to the government first thing. And we have to build both the credibility in the government so you trust what government tells you. And in J-Town, we have that because we understand when to help and when to get out of the way. Government has to understand that we're not the be all, end all, that we help when you call us, and then we move out of the way and let you do your business. But that more importantly, it has to be an independent organization like a GLI that attracts the business here. Because if you're a big business, you want to talk to another business to say, how is the living conditions, how the government, how is the working conditions, what is it really like on boots on the ground? So as we move forward, I know the present administration tried to pull everything into Metro to do it, but we can't do that. Whether it's the organization of attraction, the government should be a partner, but should not be the controlling factor to bring them here. Now, once they're here and we start working, the government has to be able to move fast and rapidly on showing the people what they can do and where they can do it. And that sounds very simplistic, but it's a bottleneck. We're known for being a bottleneck, and we can't have that. We have to be seamless, and we have to give that wow experience of customer service. Kind of like when you come in my hardware store, you want to be wowed and have an experience when you leave that we have you come back. And that's what we have to do downtown on economic development. The other thing is we have to have a mayor that understands downtown and what it takes to bring back downtown. And that's economic development. That's talking differently. What do we do? Whether we bring residents more downtown, how do we bring businesses back down? How do we attract companies to come here? It has been years, as you mentioned, as a Republican as one, but it's been years since we've had a major corporate headquarters come here too. So that is a major thing. And then the third silo would be education. The key thing of our future is, I believe, in two parts of the education. Marty Polio is the center part, which he has the academies that teach all the different kids. You don't have to necessarily go to college. You can be a plumber, you can be an engineer, whatever it is that fits you, we need here in Louisville. But before that, we need the preschool, because we need to make sure the kid that is coming up through is ready on day one, first grade, to move forward. Because if that one kid gets to third grade and is not, their destiny is set in the wrong direction. But on the other side, we have to make sure that the person that graduates from high school is ready to either go into college or go into a trade college, so they can move quicker, faster into what we need here in Louisville. Because we need trades, we need if we're going to do economic development here, it's a partnership of education, economic development, and Metro Louisville. Because you've got Ford going out to Hardin County that's going to build a big plant out there, and that should produce about 500 to 600 companies. Now, those companies could be ones here that we're going to develop and make bigger that are already here, or they could be attracting here. And if the mayor doesn't understand both how to work with Frankfurt, how to work with companies, and how to work with the residents on this is the best place to live, work, and play, they're going to go to Bowling Green or go to Nashville on 65. They're not going to come to Louisville, and the future of Louisville is going to be very dim.
Let's talk about your personal style in case people don't know you that well. What would you say about your personal style and how you lead?
But the advantage that I have as a leader is, as I mentioned, I don't put my name on anything. It's not about me. So we've as the most people want to say, when you say Democrat, Republican, or you say different groups, you always say I work across the aisle and I'm always willing to work with them. And anybody that knows me is we don't have an aisle. Any meeting I have of that nature, we have a circle. We put the tables in a round circle. I'm not up on stage with everybody down at the chairs lecturing to them. We're around a circle and everybody is teaching everybody how we move forward and the best way to move forward. And a good example of that is the HURT program that I started years ago. The Angel program came out of its heroin emergency response team. And everybody around, I put tables in a round circle, and it was anybody from addicted teens to addicted adults that are in recovery, to the healing place, to VOA, to the drug czar, to police, to doctors, to nurses. They're all around the table. And the one thing I can tell you is I am not one to do a study and put it on a shelf. So when we had this meeting, it sounded harsh, but I said, as much as I am sympathetic and empathetic with how you got addicted, this meeting is what is working for you to make you not want that drug right now. So tell me how to move forward. And also with the different groups that were doing it, I said, you guys aren't in competition, because we are here at this table to help everybody, and everybody here is overwrought with amount of people that can come to VOA or healing place and everything else. So to quit saying I have the best place that can do it, let's say we have a place that everybody can come. So as the manager of the area, it's a matter of, in my opinion, is an opinion, but it's not the last opinion that we come out with. We work with a compromise how to come out. I remember talking to one of our political leaders in Washington, D.C., and telling him, isn't 80% of something better than 100% of nothing? And unfortunately, this person said, no, I'd rather have 100% of nothing. And I said, I'd rather have 80% of something that we all agree on, move it forward, and let's work on the 20% to get that going also. But to stop and wait till you have 100% of anything, you know that never works. So this city needs to start moving forward and needs action on day one.
Last question, and you alluded to it earlier. You said you see a lot of hope, and that's my final question I've been asking each candidate. Where is it that you see hope?
I see hope in the faces of all the families in this community. They want a city that they can be proud of, a city that they can call their own, a city that they can call, this is what my family is. And in J-Town, we have a saying where everyone is family. And that family is not only your unit at your house, but your family is the community as a whole. And as we get to know each other, as I mentioned, the Culture Fest is something we're getting to know each other. As we get to know each other, we all become family, and that brings the hope into the future. So the hope with my candidacy is both that I am a firm believer in family, the family unit, and the family as a culture of the whole community. But also the biggest thing I say is on January 1, I come in and you know me, and that you know what I do as a mayor. And when I step into the next office, it's not going to change. So that the saying is ready day one, you know, we can move forward on January 1 and move it forward. I'm already meeting with groups to move that forward, but we can't wait. We can't wait till January 1. And the advantage I have as being mayor is meeting with other police departments and having a police department, having an Angel program that's countywide, having all these programs that we can help as a unit all the way around. And as far as working on Frankfurt, that's the daily thing with me. So as I said, over the next 10 months as mayor of J-Town, I will be working for this to help this community. But January 1, when I step in the Louisville downtown office, we know we can move the city forward and be the city you're proud of.
Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate it very much.